Okay, so we wanted to get to the height of this sill. So we ran our transit, and that's how we got the height of this corner. And we took 3 inches off of this height for your 2 top plates. So we've got this corner here, brace it, plumb and level it first before you brace it. And then once you get your corner on and braced, that'll give you a good idea of how to get your stud height from a string line we're going to do. We're going to string a line from this corner to that corner, and then also from this corner to that corner. So let's do that right now, and then from there we can get our stud heights, and I'll show you how to do a layout. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to put a string line on. The first thing you do is when you want to get a height of something, put a nail into the top of the board on each one, and then you can hook your string on one side, roll it out to the other side, give yourself some slack, and just kind of judge where this is going to be, like that. So you kind of make a loop, take your 2 fingers and wrap it around 7 times or so, a little more, and then you hook that loop onto the nail. So then you take your slack line and your taut line, and you pull on your taut line while pulling on your slack line. And you can even bring your finger around that to help pull. Pull it with one hand, pull with the other until it's tight enough. And then once it's tight enough, you can't pull it anymore. You've got all these loops here. You want to pull them back toward that nail, and that basically locks it after you wrap it around the nail a couple times. And there's your tight string line. You just got to make sure that it's right on top of that board, sitting down on top of that nail. Okay, so now we're going to do the layout of this pony wall. Whenever we pull a layout, we always pull from the outside of the mud sill. And we hook our tape measure. Everything is 24-inch on center. So the first measurement that we make is 24 inches, and that's going to be the center of our first stud. A stud is 1.5 inches, so we need to go back 3/4 of an inch. So it's actually going to be 23 1/4 is going to be where our first mark is. Okay, now that we got our layout, we can get our stud heights from each mark. Because sometimes there's going to be variance in either the concrete or the mud sill, each mark, each stud might be a different height. So you go to the mark, put your tape measure down to it, and up to the string. And that's how you get your stud height. You mark it down right next to each place where the stud goes, so that people know which one it goes to. Okay, now that we've got our studs cut and nailed into place, we gotta get the string line off. Here's an easy way to take the string line off. Take your slack and just pull it back the way it was, and it'll loosen itself up, just like that. Pull that off, and you can just pound the nail in. Flush. There we go. And always reel your string line back up. Okay, so now that we've got our string line off, we can put our top plate on. So our top plate is 16 feet long, so that'll land on the center of a stud down there because it's in increments of 2 feet. So what we'll do is we took our top plate and we marked it, basically laid it out just like we did our bottom plate, because our bottom plate needs to match our top plate. So the studs, so you know exactly where the stud will go. So now we'll put our top plate on top. Just have somebody help you from the very corner. And that's why it's very important that your corner studs are plumb and level, because if they're off this way or that way, every stud is going to be leaning that direction too, and we want them as straight as possible. So we line it up. We always start with the end and you can get that nailed into place. Make sure it's flush with the outside, flush with this corner. Okay, for your second top plate, when you have a corner, make sure you overlap the seams. So make it longer to go over this wall, and when you nail it down, it'll tie these two pony walls together. And when you have a long pony wall that has a break in it like this, because it's so long you have to use two different lengths of wood, overlap the seam. You don't want to do the same break in a wall. So overlap it with the long piece like that, and just fill in the rest with another shorter piece. Okay, so now we're going to do our middle pony wall where the I-joists sit across. In order to do that, we need to tie it into this pony wall. So when you've got this pony wall on the ground, it needs to tap with this pony wall. We furred it out with some treated and regular wood, just to give it some space out here to meet up with this pony wall.